Alright, guys, I'm in Port Murray for a brief retreat, but nonetheless, we have reached the semifinal stage in Buenos Aires, and both of the top two seeds have been knocked out. Holger Rune just lost. He lost in straight sets the other day against the local hero, Mariano Navone, from, of course, Argentina, who just lost himself in the quarterfinals today against the hyped kid, the 18-year-old João Fonseca from Brazil, in a terrible match. I mean, it wasn't that terrible, but it was, we will get to that later. And Zverev just got knocked out against another local hero, Francisco Cerundolo. So, Zverev, of course, was the top seed, number 2 player in the world. He looked not very good, at least from the few minutes of the match that I saw. He won the first set 6-3, and then lost the next 2 sets 6-3, 6-2. In the third set, the few minutes I saw, he looked pretty bad. He was hitting returns like into the stratosphere or something. But anyway, are we surprised? Of course not. These players are not named Alcaraz or Sinner, so you can never be surprised when, even though they're the top seeds, that they lose. And the same thing happened in Delray Beach, which I will be talking about in the next video. But anyway, for the semifinals, let's get started. So the first semifinal we have is, as I was saying, the hyped kid, João Fonseca, the 18-year-old from Brazil, the very hyped kid who had a breakout Australian Open, I guess, if you can call it, where he destroyed the qualifying round opponents, and then he defeated Rublev, who was a 9th seed, in the first round in straight sets. As we already know, this has passed for a while. And then he lost in the second round to Lorenzo Sonego in 5 sets, sort of similar to what I predicted, where I said he would play a long match in the second or third round and then retire in the round after that. He only did the long match part and just lost that. So we cannot expect him to win every match. He is still a kid, even though he is being super hyped, and people saying he will win 20-plus slams and be number 1 and so on and so forth. He's still only 18 years old, and we have not had him prove himself yet. But anyway, he did a good job beating Rublev, who is a washed player, but he is still top 10, and that was still Fonseca's main draw slam debut. So he still did a good job there, despite losing in the second round. But anyway, on to present events. His match that he just won against Mariano Navone, he came through 3-6, 6-4, I think, 6-4s, and then 7-5 in the third. Man, what a match this was. In the third set, he was getting outplayed for most of the set. But it was not like Navone was playing amazing tennis. Fonseca, he looked pretty bad. The guy was just missing like every other shot. He missing second serve returns, just missing returns, and it's not like Navone has an amazing serve. He's a clay player, for crying out loud. He doesn't have an amazing serve, and this guy, Fonseca, hits it out. He just hits any random shot out. It can either be a winner or unforced error. I mean, he is a kid, so, it's not like I can be too harsh on him. But some people are hyping him like he is the second coming. He's still just a kid, and he makes a lot of mistakes. And he got through this match, saving 2 or 3 match points at 5-3, I believe, when Fonseca was serving at 3-5, and Navone had 2 or 3 match points. Fonseca saved those match points. I don't think it was really a choke. Actually, I don't really remember. And then Navone, of course, served for the match at 5-4, but he didn't have match points in that game. Fonseca broke him to, 15 or 30 or something like that. And then he started playing a bit better. He held like a quick game to get to 6-5, I believe. And then he brought up match points when Navone was serving at 5-6. Navone saved a couple of match points himself with good attacking tennis, but he eventually succumbed and allowed the kid to win the match 7-5 in the third set. And I believe this is probably his first semifinal at a main draw ATP Tour event. That is not a challenger because he already has won challengers, at least one, I believe. Probably at least two. Definitely at least one, though, because he won the beginning of this year, I think, when he basically destroyed everybody in that challenger title. So he's into his first ATP Main Tour semifinal, I believe this is, and he will face the Serbian Laszlo Djere, who defeated Jago Jaboš-Wilch. However the heck you say his name, I listened to the audio pronunciation of it, the official pronunciation from himself, like 5 times, but it's still too hard for me to memorize how to pronounce that weird thing. So, Jaboš-Wilch, Laszlo Djere defeated in straight sets, I believe, in his quarterfinal match. Now, do I believe that the hyped kid João Fonseca will now go one step further and make his first main draw ATP Tour final tomorrow? No, I don't believe so. I believe that this kid will get humbled tomorrow, so to speak. Not that he is a super cocky kid, but it's more like his supporters will get humbled because they are the ones who are overhyping him when he has not even done it that much yet. I mean, whatever. Hype him all you want, but I just think it's funny when hyped kids lose. So, I think he will lose this in straight sets. Yes, he is a good player, and you can certainly say that he has a lot of potential, but he is still very young at this point, and Laszlo Djere is the much more experienced player in this regard. A good solid all-round player, pretty good on clay, and not that bad on hard courts either. He was 2 sets to love up against Djokovic in the 2023 US Open, and that was a tournament that Djokovic won, the last Grand Slam tournament that he won, and perhaps the last Grand Slam tournament that he ever will win. I hope he wins another, but I will most likely not predict him to do so, just because he is so old, and now he just gets injured in every slam he plays, it seems, or every other slam. He's either injured or just not playing well. But anyway, enough about Djokovic. The video is not about him. I think Laszlo Djere will beat this kid in straight sets. They have not played, of course, he is a very young kid. He's 18 years old, so he has not played that many main tour ATP matches. So he has never faced Laszlo Djere, just as he has never faced maybe a lot of players who are in the top 100, even though I don't even know what Laszlo Djere's rank is right now, but he's not faced a lot of players who are common names in the main tour. So I think Laszlo Djere will win this match in straight sets. Yes, the kid is good, but he has a lot to learn. He made a lot of mistakes in his match. If you watch the match, I think he did 60 unforced errors or something like that. I don't believe that he can beat a solid player like Djere with 60 unforced errors. He barely beat Navone. He barely beat him. He was match points down. I don't see him getting past Djere. So I will have Djere winning this semifinal in straight sets. Now to the second semifinal, which is the local hero Francisco Cerundolo, who just had the biggest win of his career, defeating the top seed at this tournament and the number 2 ranked player in the entire world, Alexander Sasha-Zverev, who was just coming off an Australian Open final appearance, where he had no chance, of course, against the beast that is Jannik Sinner, but it was still the final, and he just now has gone and lost. Now it is clay, of course. He has gone and lost to Cerundolo, the home favorite, in 3 sets. And as I was saying before, he did not look very good in the little that I saw of the match. So, I mean, I kind of had a feeling that Cerundolo would not really be that easy for Zverev. I mean, Cerundolo is a pretty solid player on clay, but even on grass as well. I believe he's won a title on grass, and he's not bad on hard courts either. He kind of just has a good, solid, heavy hitting all around game, and plus he is playing in his home country, so I kind of had sort of a feeling that this maybe will not be that easy for Zverev, and it was not easy because he lost. So Zverev will face Pedro Martinez, who has been getting kind of lucky these days, actually. He just got a walkover in the quarterfinals. He was supposed to play Musetti, whom I would have most likely favored to defeat him, but Musetti just withdrew out of nowhere. I don't know what happened to him. And recently in Rotterdam, Martinez beat Rune, who was apparently sick. Martinez destroyed Rune in that match. He was apparently sick. I mean, I didn't think he would destroy Rune like that, even though it is Rune. You never know, but apparently he was sick or something. But anyway, no excuses. But anyway, he is in the semifinals now. Walkover after Musetti withdrew. So the second semifinal is Pedro Martinez against Francisco Cerundolo. The head-to-head is 1-1. They faced each other only 2 times. Once was on grass, which Cerundolo won in straight sets. And the second meeting was actually on clay last year, where Martinez won, but that was a close 3-setter. So you can't take much away from this head-to-head. I believe that Cerundolo will win this match. I just think he is kind of a better player than Martinez, just in general. And he has the crowd behind him. He just took out Zverev. I mean, I will just favor him to win this match. Martinez, it doesn't seem like he does much better than Cerundolo, except maybe movement. But Martinez, he doesn't hit very hard. Cerundolo can really smack the ball, and he's a solid clay court player. So I mean, I think this is a pretty decent chance for Cerundolo to win this title in Buenos Aires, in his home country, which I'm sure he would really like. I mean, who wouldn't like that? I recall that he was in the final here. I believe it was 4 years ago against Diego Schwartzman, and I think that was Cerundolo's first final when he was kind of just coming onto the scene, and he got destroyed. Schwartzman destroyed him. It was like 6-1, 6-2 or something like that in that all-Argentine final. Schwartzman, who is actually he has just retired, and this was the last professional tournament for him. So we're saying goodbye to one of the very likable players of the sport. He was able to defeat Jari in the first round, which was actually a little surprising, but I mean, I guess not really surprising, because Jari is kind of I guess you could say, hot and cold player, and Schwartzman, he's always been very good on clay. I mean, I guess except for in the last few years of his career where he kind of fell off. But he was able to beat Jari in 3 sets. So that prolonged his retirement a bit, but he was demolished by Martinez in the other day in whatever, the second round or whatever it was, 6-2, 6-2, which was not really surprising. I mean, I was kind of suspecting this as well. I mean, he is literally retired now, so that was his last match. The guy has had a pretty good career, a pretty decent career. I mean, he has a lot to be proud of. Of course, the one thing that everyone mentions is his height. The guy was like 5'7", and that is very impressive to be a pro tennis player at the level that he did. And what he's achieved is quite incredible. Like, not only because of just his height, but just in general is a very good achievement. Very good achievements to have. Made multiple Grand Slam quarterfinals. I know that he was at the quarterfinal of the U.S. Open in 2019. I was actually at that match because I've been going to the U.S. Open for about 6-7 years now to watch actual main draw matches, not just qualifying and practices, which I also watched qualifying because it's free. But I've been going to one main draw U.S. Open match a year since 2018. And in 2019, the match that I saw was Schwartzman against Nadal, who won the title that year, of course. And Nadal won in straight sets, but Schwartzman really fights like hell, man. He fights like hell. He was such a fighter, man. He fought for every point, and he always gets the crowd so hyped. Part of that is because he's an Argentinian, and they're kind of known for being a loud and hype crowd. The same was with Del Potro, another loved player who recently retired from Argentina. But Schwartzman, man, who doesn't like Schwartzman? I don't know who doesn't like Schwartzman. Like everybody likes him, literally. Like, how can you not like the guy? He's just such a fighter, and he fights like for like every point. He can come back in a set. His return game was very good in his prime. He can come back in a set from like 5-1. That was sad in that match against, because his serve just lets him down, because it's so hard just when you don't have the height in this highest level of the sport. Because in that match he was down like 5-1 in the second set against Nadal. He brought it all the way back with like amazing points, brilliant rallies, where the guy was just running for everything, hitting lobs, hitting defensive shots on the stretch, everything. He brought that all the way back from 5-1, and then he still lost the set 7-5. It was so like, you wanted him to win that set so bad because he came all the way back. But then just because like the serve lets him down, it's just so hard because he was trying so much from just so far back. But you got to respect the guy so much. So he's had a good career. He definitely has a lot to be proud of. He beat Nadal on clay. If you did that, which is basically the hardest thing to do in tennis. I mean, the hardest thing would be Nadal at Roland Garros, but apart from that, it would just be Nadal on clay in general. He beat Nadal on clay. That is just an amazing achievement in and of itself. And he has taken sets from Nadal on clay multiple other times, which is a very good achievement. And that was when Nadal was good. I mean, he was good on clay for basically his entire career. But like in the 2018 French Open, Schwartzman was like, I think he was like the only player to take a set off of Nadal in that tournament, or something like that, if I remember correctly. Then he took another set from him in the 2021 French Open. And then in the 2020 French Open, he took like the most games off of Nadal, I think. So this guy was seriously good on clay. If you watched him, you would know that this guy was really insanely good on clay. Like, if only he had a better serve, who knows what this guy could have done. He was going like toe to toe with Nadal basically on clay. Like, he wouldn't beat him almost every time, but he was making that competitive. He was really making that competitive. Like, you could tell Nadal really respects him as a competitor, and he was just hitting he would just hit such clean shots, such high quality shots. Not only that, in 2020, I believe, he defeated Thiem at Roland Garros. That was when he then lost to Nadal, but took the most games off of him. I think it was like 7-6, 7-6, 6-3, something like that. Or 6-3, 6-3, 7-6. Yeah, maybe it was like 3-3, 6-3, 6-3, 7-6. But that was like the most games that Nadal lost in a match that year's French Open, I think. Because, as we all know, Nadal's just insane on clay. And there were multiple French Opens where he won without losing a single set. So 12 games was the most that someone took off of him in the entire tournament. And that was from Schwartzman, I believe, in that 2020 French Open, that strange French Open that was played after the US Open in that pandemic year. But anyway, in that same year, Schwartzman had just defeated Thiem in the quarterfinal, I believe. He defeated Thiem on Roland Garros, and that was before Thiem's decline. Thiem was still good in that year. And then he reached the Nitto ATP Finals, partly as a result of that French Open run, I'm sure. That is another great achievement. Like, Schwartzman, he reached the ATP Finals. He really did that. And besides that, he has given Djokovic trouble on clay. I don't think he ever beat him, but he still gave him trouble. He took him to 5 sets at the French Open. Took him to 3 sets, I remember. There was some epic match in Rome, 2019, I think. So I think he took Federer to 3 sets on clay, maybe. So this guy was really good, especially on clay. This guy was really good. He's had a career that he should be proud of, and unfortunately, he has just hung up his racket. But anyway, getting back to the match, the semifinal. Cerundolo versus Martinez. Cerundolo, I believe, is just a better player. I mean, simple as that. So I will have him winning this match. But maybe Martinez can make it tricky. I mean, he is a solid dirt baller. So I will have Cerundolo winning this match in 3 sets. So, to recap, I have the first semifinal was so long ago that I forgot what it was. Oh yes, of course, the Hyped Kid. I have the Hyped Kid losing to Jere in straight sets, and I have Cerundolo defeating Martinez in 3 sets, and I believe we will have a final between Francisco Cerundolo of Argentina, the local hero, and Laszlo Jere. And Cerundolo will have the chance to win a title in his home country. So we will see how that final goes. Obviously, assuming it goes according to my prediction.